Jean McIntosh Smith is a historian, Arabist, and traveler whose books include a trilogy on the great Arab wanderer Ibn Battuta, as well as edition and translation of early Arabic texts. In 2011, he was named by Newsweek as one of the 12 finest travel writers of the past 100 years. He has been based in the Arab world for over a third of a century. He spent most of that time in Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. He is a fellow of the Royal Asiatic Society and an Emeritus Senior Fellow of the Library of Arabic Literature. His most recent publication, Arabs, examines 3,000 years of history through the lenses of language and human mobility. It has been described as a book of vast scope and stunning insight. Personally, after reading the first two chapters of the Arabs, a 3,000-year history of peoples, tribes, and empires, I realized that I learned so much about Muhammad as a prophet and his tribes in Quraysh and Mecca from the time when I started the Quranic school when I was a 7-year-old boy to the university time. There was hardly any school in Yemen who was prepared to teach me and my fellow pupils about the history of Yemen, its tribes and civilization. What more, we learned that Yemen civilization started when Islam started. Before that, it was Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means people did not know or have no history. Even today, after more than 1,400 years, one of the rulers in the north of Yemen claims that he is a descendant of Muhammad's family and therefore has better privileges than the rest of the Yemenis. Here are some of Tim's previous publications. First one is Yemen, Travels in Dictionary Land, John Murray, London, 1997, reissued 2007, published in the USA as Yemen, the Unknown Arabia, reissued in the USA in 2014. Travels with a Tangerine, a journey in the footnotes of Ibn Battuta, John Murray, London, 2001. The whole of 1,000 columns, Hindustan to Malabar, with Ibn Battuta, John Murray, London, 2005. Landfalls on the Edge of Islam, with Ibn Battuta, John Murray, London, 2010. Paperback title, Landfalls on the Edge of Islam, from Zanzibar to Al-Hamra. Arabs, a 3,000-year history of peoples, tribes, and empires, Yale University Press, New Haven, and London, 2019. Now I would like to introduce Denise Woods. Denise Woods, who also writes as Denise Devlin, is an Irish novelist based in Cork, an Irish writer who knows the world by the Irish Times. 3 of her novels are set in the Arab world, including the critically acclaimed Overnight to Innsbruck Lilliput Press, and like nowhere else, Penguin Ireland. Her 6th novel of Sea and Sand, Hoop Fiction, American University in Cairo Press, is set in Oman and Iraq. Denise is the recipient of an Arts Council of Ireland literature bursary, and she has been awarded residencies in Shanghai, Liz Najan, Paris, and Ernest Hemingway's studio in Key West. She is the former director of the West Cork University Festival. If you are enjoying one of Liverpool Arab Arts Festival free digital events, please donate to Liverpool Arab Arts Festival. 100% of the money raised will go towards commissioning artists for our 2021 festival. The link is on Liverpool Arab Arts Festival website and social media. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Good morning here in Cork and Liverpool. Good afternoon in Kuala Lumpur, and good evening to all those around the world who have joined us for this very special event. Thank you, Tahir, for that lovely introduction. My name is Denise Woods, and I'm here to have a chat with Tim McIntosh-Smith, who's over in Kuala Lumpur. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Denise. Good morning. Yes, it's afternoon here, and I'm sitting in front of a vista of skyscrapers and general Southeast Asia bling. It's really quite fun.
Yeah, I've seen.
You're off in leafy Cork.
Yes, green and raining, I can tell you now. And you know, before we kick off, I really should congratulate Liverpool, because it's all over the news this morning. This event obviously is really reported. They've won the league. And I think, given we're here with the Liverpool Arab Arts Festival, who've organised this lovely go Liverpool! Yay! Fabulous city.
Yeah, congratulations.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Now look, an awful lot of your fans will be aware of the fact that you're a long-time resident of Yemen, but you're now in Malaysia. So do you want to explain a bit why we found you in Kuala Lumpur?
Yes, I spent about 4.5 years through the sort of major bit of the war. And of course, as many of you know, it really was quite major. The missiles flying and things going bang all around, people getting killed, people I know getting killed, lots of them, particularly sons of people I know getting killed much too young. And it really has been the most dreadful time, indescribably dreadful, as any war is. But there we were, right in the middle of it, kind of sitting it out and thinking, I kept thinking, we had the London Blitz in the Second World War. My parents went through blitzes in Britain, and what's this? But on and on it went, much longer than the blitzes in the UK. And eventually, I'm very close to a family in Sana'a, and always have been, ever since I've been there 36, 37 odd years ago. I've been particularly close to one family, and two of the young people in the family who I think of as godchildren in a sense, and we're all very close. They were at a stage where they wanted to go to university, and we kind of looked at possibilities. And here in Malaysia, you can come as a Yemeni citizen. The Malaysian government is very, very open to receiving Yemenis who want to come here and study here and live here, and they're very generous in that way. So we thought of Malaysia as being a good foil to all this war and suffering, and also somewhere which has had its own problems in the past. I mean, about the time, before the time I was born, 60 odd years ago, they had problems here in Malaysia, but they have overcome those problems. And all the sort of different communities, ethnic communities in Malaysia now live together. So coming here for us who have gone through all this this terrible conflict in Yemen, and seeing a society which is very diverse but which manages to live together happily and in peace, that is in itself a huge lesson. So I'm thinking of it for my own purposes as a kind of sabbatical from the war in Yemen, and I'm also supporting the two young people, Shema and Mohammed. So that gives me a lot of pleasure. But I think of myself as an exile. Yemen is my home. And whatever happens, it will always be my home. It's been my home for 36 years. And that is, it's a good bit more than half of my life. It's all my adult life, in fact. It's my entire adult life that I have spent there. And you don't give up something like that easily, however bad things are.
Mm. Well, we might get back to Yemen again a bit later after one of your readings. I mean, all I can say is a friend, and I should say here maybe that we are old friends. So our friendship started with a correspondence of 14 years before we ever met, just in case people think I'm being a bit familiar in my approach. But you know, for 5 years, and I mean, I have other Yemeni friends waking up every morning checking Twitter, to see what bombings had happened during the night, because a lot of news.
You're a very good Twitter checker.
Well,
quite often I was getting news from you before I even knew it on the ground, and you were twittering or speaking to me and saying, "Oh, the bomb's gone off." I'd sort of vaguely heard a bang somewhere in the middle of my sleep, but you were kind of actually more worried on
because the Yemeni activists were on Twitter. That was the way. I mean, the news agencies weren't covering a lot of it. The Yemeni activists, sometimes putting themselves at risk, were, and that's how I'd be on Twitter every morning to make sure you were all right, or hope that you were all right. Anyway, moving on to this magnificent book, for which, as a friend and a big fan, I congratulate you. Arabs, a 3,000-year history of peoples, tribes and empires. It's your 6th book. I reckon it's going to be on the bookshelves for hundreds of years. I certainly hope so. And I hope it's going to be taught and read widely.